So thank you for joining today, continuing on the path. Are you ready for some exposure to light and love and like, yeah, bring it on, right? So day 18 of the 30 days to Easter, and yeah, it's coming along. I can always say something about it. It doesn't make any sense actually, because it's today, it's happening now, and this is brand new. We have no idea what's gonna follow, what is coming our way, no idea about it. And in that, our consciousness is completely open to receive, and that's exactly the meeting place for us today. And yeah, there's a lot of, say, ingredients to this meeting. So there's a talk of Master Teacher, 15 minutes of it. That's the start of the second episode of one session. So this was probably the afternoon session in the morning, 1.5 hours, in the afternoon, 1.5, or something like this. And so we're starting the afternoon session with 15 minutes of that. Now I think we can actually start listening to that. After we have listened to it, we will take another look at some other aspects that are, say, involved in the idea of heredity, which is really like a bit of the theme this week, heredity. So it's like your ancestry, your genetic background, your genetic backpack, your genetic memory that you're carrying with you as habits and patterns and family behavior and who knows what. Not to make it real, but to come to the release of it, and that's really great. Any opportunity will take that. But yeah, you are completely involved in this. So it's like the release of what isn't is actually also the release of your identity as you have described yourself. But it is also something that you have, say, heavily invested into in this worldly idea of you. So heredity is really an interesting way to look at your transformation, because you could say it's like it's undoing of genetic memory. Now, genetic memory seems to be unchangeable, since you carry it with you in every cell of your body. And now, how do you do that? You know, like this. Like, how do you do that? You carry it with you from one generation to the other. You can't help yourself repeating the same stories as recognizable in your family. There is change possible, sure, absolutely, complete change, but that will also dislodge you from this whole, say, ancestry idea that you carry with you. So in that sense, it's a real transformational, physical transformation that becomes more and more clear in the, say, the aspect of heredity. So really great and interesting, like to take a look at it this way. And so Master Teacher will help us with that too, to literally like hustle these ideas a little bit around and actually make it clear to you where you are actually choosing for, whether you're aware of it or not. And with the immediate question, do you want to keep doing that or not? And so, yeah, let's take a moment to listen to that.
What would you do if you could get old and couldn't die? Do you just keep getting older and older? Now answer me. You say, well, I know I can't die, but I'm going to, obviously I'm aging. No, you're not. It's obvious to you, but not to anyone else, because there isn't anyone else. You take all of your previous memories and bring them up into a sequential time association, don't you? Okay, you bring into our associations your previous experiences. Now your reality is going to be based on the terrible things that happened to you when you were 14 and 15. That's sad. Okay, why? All of your memories are only of grievance. It's impossible that that not be so, because all of your memories are only conflictual. All family associations are conflictual. And you as psychologists ought to know better than to allow the consciousnesses, his limited associations, and verify him in your demand that you share the mutual grief. That's crazy. Okay? Wow. Now, again, I don't want to get in too far with it. That's not to say that you may not need of identity as an alkie or as a molested child. You can have any identity that you want to have, but it will not be true. If you need to look at the problem you've had in that association, for goodness sake, look at it, but don't hold on to it as your identity, or you're going to be here a long time. You can build whole nations around the grievances of the Holocaust that happened 50 years ago or 2,000 years ago. If your reality is based on defense of yourself, that's called the first covenant, isn't it? That's a statement of reciprocity. I will never forgive you, and I'm going to get even with you in some fashion. That's exactly what the perceptual mind is. But remember that it's only trying to get even with reality finally. It's trying to make a statement of itself separate from the wholeness. It constructs exchange in order to retain that identity. That is the first covenant, an eye for an eye. That's the setting up of the laws of man, right? Rhinoceroses don't set up legal codes. This is you meeting yourself coming and going, isn't it? Suddenly you see yourself in an expanded frame of reference and have to take responsibility for your environmental concerns. At that point, it would be important that you recognize that your heredity and environment are exactly the same thing. This should be a quantum leap for you guys. There is no difference between heredity and environment if everything is already past. Is that so? You are constructing, literally constructing an environment based on your hereditary associations. It's impossible that that's not so. You want to give some credit to environment and some to heredity, but finally it doesn't make any difference. Everything is heredity. It has to be if it's memory. You say, yes, but I want to be afforded the opportunity to expand my mind and my consciousness as association. Good. But where are you in a association with your determination to solve the problems of the world when they're in your own mind? You guys have been carrying the placard, ban the bomb, for a very long time. That's an admission of the reality of the bomb and the denial that you're the cause of it. I don't care where you hear this, that's a statement of fact. The bomb is banned here, then there's no bomb. You can't heal something that's out there. The acceptance that you are the cause of this war is how the war is not so, not by directing it out there and trying to change the effects of it. Now you're going to say, you're telling me not to change the effects of it. I'm not doing that. I understand that you feel the pain of your own effects. I'm directing you to the certainty that the problem cannot be solved, and you will attempt to solve it until you reach that conclusion. And you must reach that conclusion because the problem is not real. Does that make you feel good that the problem's not real? Now, as you reach a certain point in your own association, that is going to make you feel very good. Okay, at that moment, you're going to be attacked by your previous associations that think that's very bad. Why? You're simply saying the world is not real, I'm going to withdraw from it and no longer participate in it. You say, well, they'll say, don't be ridiculous. I mean, you have responsibilities. You guys don't like this kind of a talk. This is lovely in the chorus where it says, you know, they're going to say, don't look up, don't look up. Don't look up. Stay down with here. You have a responsibility with us to stay in this conflict and die with us. You have a sociological responsibility, and they'll demand that you fulfill that. That's really the conflict that you're feeling. It has to be. Because you're early in this association, and there is no definitive, that is, in the sense, evidence of what's going on in your mind. We're too deep. What has that got to do? It's too late for you to do that. It's already in your mind. It's impossible that this be too early for you to do, isn't it? Does it seem like conflict to you? Yeah. Why? Guilt, what's defined, you won't like this either. What's defined as guilt is only the ordering of your own thoughts. Can you hear this? It has nothing to do with whether it's good or bad. Can you hear me? If you order your thoughts, you'll be responsible for the consequences of your thoughts. Question? If Jesus says it's hard for you to understand, there's no need for you to order your thoughts, that is, your conceptual associations. But if you do, you must assume responsibility for them. How would you not? You must be giving them value or attempt to giving them no value in your own associations. You cannot not do it. Okay? What have you done? You've assumed responsibility for what you are in your own memory. You say to me, well, how else would I live? How else am I going to exist if I don't do that? You will continue to do that until you examine the source of the problem in the need for you to order your own thoughts. This is the whole Course in Miracles. As long as you order your own thoughts, you will be the creator of your apparent universe, and nothing can stop you from doing it. So let's not pretend that something's keeping you from relinquishing this. You're not relinquishing your own thought forms literally because you don't want to. This is pure Course now. A slave to death is a willing slave. You want a sentence? Somewhere you cherish the associations that you're formulated, and there's no one that could take that away from you. Why would they want to? How could they? They're in your mind. Until you examine them, okay, you will not let them go. Now I'm teaching you the Course. Until you look at the relationship of your own self in your own mind to the things that you love and cherish, how can you possibly come to know that you love death? It has to be true. Why? It's in the power of your mind. Now we're teaching you Course. Is there another power that will help me overcome this? No, you're using all the power. But you will not make this true, guys. Why? It's not true. God suffers no conflict. There's no such thing as fear and evilness and sickness and death. It's not real. You say to me, well, we're all coming to know that. No, you're not. You're denying it. Coming to know is the denial. All spiritual paths are denials of God. Oh, well, is there a question about that? Well, aren't you giving us a spiritual path? No. I'm telling you there is no path. Yeah, but you gave us a choice. Yeah, I gave you a choice because I didn't have any alternative. Do you know how you can tell an advanced teacher of the Course from an unhealed healer? An unhealed healer will teach choice. Is there questions? I'll answer questions on that. Well, you say, well, the Course in Miracles says there's a choice. No, the Course in Miracles says there's no choice. What does it say? Choice is an impossible situation that you have placed yourself in by believing you can choose between this and something else. How many times have you guys read this in the book? All I want you to do is look at it, and that's what it says, and that's what it means. You go to all these Course groups and we're all working together. No, you should sit down and say, well, we're all working together not to get this. Is that true? Oh yeah, darn right it's true. You say, well, not all together. And I say, well, in what regard? Well, I'm certainly practicing all of the principles of the Course. The Course has no principles. It just has one statement. It's not a perceptual association of the values that you've given it. That's just the denial of the source. If the Course in Miracles is a scripture, is a message from God, it requires your acceptance of it in order to hear it. It cannot be gained by your examination of the source. That's what holds you in death. Okay. Is that too big a step for you? You say, well, I have a conceptual association with Jesus Christ that does not allow me to accept the Course. Really? Well, do you accept what the Course says? Insane. Well, I accept totally what the Course says, but I want to teach it as though Jesus didn't Didn't write it. This is really double nut now. Now we're into double nut. What we're going to do is acknowledge that the material is true, but deny the guy who says he wrote it in the material is. That makes no sense. You think you're not doing that, but that's what you're doing. You're studying the cause in what you want the effect to be. There's a lovely sentence in the Course where Jesus says that it has to lead to insanity. Why? It's a disassociation of cause and effect. Everybody got that? When I give you a true message, you study me instead of what I'm saying to you. You have to, because you're in association with me about what you want to hear me say in your own mind. How often do I tell you this? Just once. I only told you this once. You ought to be able to hear this. A lot of you guys can hear what I just said to you. I could have only told you this once because it's the truth. And it would be impossible that you did not hear me. The part about you that's pretending it doesn't hear this is not. That's the moment of the schism. That's a knot. Now you can hold that knotism together, okay, in time, can't you? I keep this identity in that, and you hold. But remember, the source is not. Is this too tough a message? It's the simplest message there ever could be. That's why it's not acceptable to you. It's the most difficult the message there could ever be because it's obviously the only message you have to hear. What other message would there be? God is. And you know it. And yet you deny that you do. Knowing something and denying it is obviously rank insanity, yet that must be what you're doing. This is lesson 139. Isn't it? It must be that you know what you pretend you don't want to know, otherwise how do you know that you don't know it? But if you say you don't know it, the thing that says it doesn't know it must not want to know it. Not wanting to know is not real. Is that in lesson 139? Yeah. You guys, you take a lunch break and you read lesson 139 and lesson 140. If any of you are still left here this afternoon after we get So you're in what? Competition with your own mind here? Yeah. How do I get out of this now? Well, it would help if you believed what I'm telling you is true. Do I have a reason to tell you this if it's not so? I see some people are saying that the Course is the work of an evil force. Okay. The study of the Course perceptually is an indication you think it might also be evil. So let's not be condemning the people that have formulated it within their own minds. Nothing is more evil in your judgment of the Course or ever could be. But remember, evil is not real. If you didn't need the atonement, I wouldn't be here. I understand that you're denying God. I'm trying to get you to admit you are so that you can see that it's not so. How else am I going to do it? You cannot not be in heaven with me. Not only that, but you cannot not be in another congruent association with me at this time, right out of time, because it's in our mutual minds. As Jesus would say, we're standing together just across the border on this. We'd have to be, we're talking about it. Well, when is this happening? Now. When are we standing on the other side talking about this? Now.
Right, coming back here now, continuing with this, specifically this talk, and the talk is, say, helpful to us, and looking at some aspects of it will just slow it down a little bit. So it's like it's inevitable that you hear what he says, like you recognize it, but to accept it and to implement it, and to see it at work in yourself can take a moment, and that's all right. So here's one reason you could say that we use this way to do it, and it's yeah, not really a method. It is not a spiritual path. It is like, now anything that can say support you in receiving this for yourself, by inundating, almost like soaking in this, releasing fear that is related to it, seeing that you just fall into it, just at a certain point you just fall into it. It suddenly starts to make so much sense. And it also, the giving up, you could say, the giving up of your heredity ideas, any kind of description that you hold about yourself or your family or your natural response, yeah, you could say like your family programming, all the release of all that, the release of the fear to let that all go, is why we are together. You could say it is like that will bring you there. It is miraculous in the first place. Like that's why it's possible. Because if you had to do it by yourself, it would be impossible. You're all of that memory. It's like you relate to all of that memory as if it is you. So how would you be able to get yourself out of it? That must be a miracle. Like, that must be a rebirth or a resurrection. Otherwise, it won't happen. Now, this is what is A Course in Miracles. It is exactly what that is, and how that works, or how you can recognize that in yourself. You will recognize the words heredity. What would you do if you could get old? What would you do if you could get old and couldn't die? Keep getting older? It's like, well, that's an interesting idea. So, unlimit your longevity. So what is that going to do? Answer me. You say, well, I know I can't die, and obviously I'm aging. No, 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 you're not. It is obvious to you, but not to anyone else, because there isn't anyone else. You take all of your previous memories and bring them up into a sequential time association, like you literally are ordering in them, like organizing them in a time frame. And that's why you think you get older. You bring into your associations your previous experiences. Like literally you put timestamps on your experiences. That was yesterday, that was 2 weeks ago, that was a month ago, that was a year ago. Now your reality is going to be based on the terrible things that happened to you when you were 14, 15, 6, 2, 5, 25. That's sad. Now your reality is based, it's like literally you're creating this, You're creating this in your mind. Your reality is going to be based on the terrible things that happened to you. That's sad. Like you literally make a construct in which you start to believe that it's you. All of your memories are only of grievance. It's impossible that not be so, because all of your memories are only conflictual. All family associations are conflictual, and you as psychologist ought to know better than to allow the consciousness his limited associations. So, and verify him in your demand that you share the mutual grief. That is crazy. It's like, okay, so now you're going to a psychologist to get some help, to organize your past a little bit. And what is he asking you to do? Well, tell me what happened. And you dive into the memories related to that. Yeah, but what happened in that moment, and what effect did that have on this moment? And what is that, and what is this? It's like that would a pretty normal psychologist do. You look at the timeline, you look at even say so-called modern psychology is based on it too. It's like neuro-linguistic programming. It's still based on past ideas. It's like still based on a timeline, as if you need to do something with that timeline to make it better or something. Well, it just represents memories. And what can you say about these memories? They're over, they're gone. So the more emphasis and the more I examine them, I'm actually validating their existence, then their reality to myself, not to anyone else. So I really start to believe that I'm getting older and that I have some real scars in time that are, say, still influencing this moment right now. And that's why you feel the way you feel. You know, this is all so-called normal social psychology. I'm not saying anything new in this sense. So here Master Teacher emphasizes a lot on the idea of, say, organizing your thoughts. Now, if you, say, catch your mind doing so, you're actually fabricating an say, illusionary reality for yourself by doing so. Like there is no order in the occurrences. You could say it's all happening at the same time. It's all happening at the same time. It has no structure. It has no sequentiality. Like there's no order in them whatsoever. No, you can say about your memories that they're over. So releasing those, letting them go, is not a sacrifice, you could say. It has nothing to do with sacrifice. It is just letting go of what is already over. But it is also combined to the, you could say like it's kind of a decision to, because there's in fact no choice, as you heard Master Teacher say. It's like it's your decision then. Do I want to be real or not? Like, do I want this memory to formulate me or define me? Or am I going to be my authentic me? Authentic in the sense of being my Christ self. See, and in that, as long as you think you have a decision, you can doubt about it and you can not know exactly what that would be. But in releasing the fear for giving that away, you could say, you see there was no choice to be made in the first place. Like what is real. God is. There's no discussion about it. It is your experience or it isn't. When it isn't your experience, you're nothing. And that's not a personal, say, offense, but it's a statement of fact. It's like, you're nothing if you don't experience that. If you think there's two of us, like an Christ and a you, then yeah, you miss it. So this and that makes clear why there isn't a path in that sense. There is no spiritual path in that sense. So the exercises you could say that you do, the exercises that you do are actually only for the release, the relinquishment of fear, the release of what isn't, and that's all. So the rest is taken care of. Okay, so we continue because there were some nice openings, some nice key sentences that I love to share. So that's not to say that you may need an identity as an alkie, as an alcoholic, or as a molested child. Yeah, we were talking about this. It's like you can have any identity you want, but it will not be true. So it's like it's not going to be taken away from you, but it holds no reality. So why holding on to it while it only hurts you? It's like you're not that. You're not that. If you need to look at the problem you've had in that association, for goodness sake, look at it, but don't hold on to it as your identity. No, look at it and allow it to change and to be healed. You can build whole nations around the grievances of the Holocaust that happened 50 or 70 years ago, or 2,000 years ago. If your reality is based on the defense of yourself, That's called the first covenant, right? So that's like the law of the Hebrews, an eye for an eye. That's the statement of reciprocity. I will never forgive you. I'm going to get even with you in some fashion. That's exactly what the perceptual mind is. It's like that's why, say, the human relationships are based on grievances, on attack. I'm going to get even. That's has everything to do with you as a fleshy self, like as an idea of you as a body. It is always based on grievance because, in fact, it is what a body is. It's trying to make a statement of itself separate from the wholeness. It constructs exchange in order to retain that identity. That's the first covenant, an eye for an eye. That's the setting up of the laws of man. And here the comparison with the rhinoceros is like the rhinoceros do not set up legal codes, do they? No, they don't. This is you meeting yourself, coming and going. Okay, I said I would do this more slowly. Now I'm reading it fast too. So there's a flow in this, what we are reading. That's lovely to feel that. Okay, so here's one of the key sentences. Suddenly you see yourself in an expanded frame of reference and have to take responsibility for your environmental concerns. At that point, it would be important that you recognize that your heredity and environment are exactly the same thing. This would be a quantum leap for you guys. There's no difference between heredity and environment if everything is already past. Is that so? Well, since it's all, say, related to perception, to ideas, to memories, you are literally constructing an environment based on your hereditary associations. It is impossible that that isn't so. You want to give some credit to environment, like the way that your environment influenced you, and to some to heredity, like yeah, it's in my genes. But finally, it doesn't make any difference. Everything is heredity. Like, no, the environment didn't have that much impact. Like, heredity is memory. So it's all heredity. You say, yes, but I want to be afforded the opportunity to expand my mind and consciousness association. Good. But where are you in association with your determination to solve the problems of the world when they are in your own mind? So now we bring back cause and effect. It's like, okay, what I'm seeing out there is a reflection of what I'm thinking. So we already went through them. I was not my intention to do this quick, but just happened. So the things that are coming to me to share is this then. It's like the whole idea of sequencing your thoughts is like an old habit that you have been doing in order for you to make sense of what's going on in this place. So it makes total sense if you can look with your psychologist to your past and see that the way that you do now has an effect, has been affected by what happened in the past. Like, okay, well, I don't have to do anything with it then. It's because of my past. Now it's like, oh, it's out of my league now. It's out of my responsibility. Yeah, it was my environment that was influencing me so badly. I was with the bad guys and here we go. It's like, no, that's not what is going on here. Now, see, all this just comes up for, say, as a transformational instruction, you could say. It's like just to shake you up out of your idea of yourself. Because what have you done? You've made these memories a part of you, thinking that they can define you. And of course, that is not so. So in order for you, and this is really where it comes down to, like in order for you to be able to come into an experience of rebirth, of expanded consciousness that is free of the past, you have to see what is binding you. Now, this is where the Course in Miracles comes in with a daily lesson. Like, you wonder, why am I supposed to do all these lessons? Like, geez, man, 365, are you kidding? Like, every day there's more, like, deeper going into love holds no grievances. I have to forgive my brother. Yeah, all these lessons, you can name them. Like, every day again, you dive back into looking at, oh my God, I'm actually thinking this. Can you believe that? It's like, love holds no grievances. But what do you mean? Why would I hold on to grievances? And then it's like, well, you don't recognize yourself as a human being. You don't see what you are doing, actually defending yourself. What do you think? That defending yourself isn't an attack? Of course it is an attack. So if you had no problem with any of this in terms of identification, you would not be listening to this. So that's always really funny. It's like then the Course in Miracles would not be in your house or not be on the screen where you're looking at. It's like that would not be happening. So it came to you for the specific reason for you to take a look at yourself, because not to identify with what you think you are or what you discover how you were thinking, but to release those thoughts, to release all of that on a daily basis, layer by layer, deeper and deeper, going into it, seeing all the stuff that you were doing in order to survive, to cope, to see. It's like the only thing that it really can do is it will not give you, in that sense, a good idea. It doesn't give you a positive idea about who you have defined yourself to be. For sure not. So in other words, like ideas as guilt and sin and attack and grievance and all of this is like included in your idea about yourself as you see yourself being this, walking around in a location, being born from a mother, and walking around on this planet, you could say. Like, all of that is what a grievance is, coming from the human perspective to this. And it has nothing to do with your reality. So this was also it's like one of the things of today that I took from chapter 18. It's like I Need Do Nothing was the title of it. Let's take a really quick look at that. See here, I need do nothing. Okay, so this is from chapter 18. At no single moment, at no single instant, does the body exist at all. It is always remembered or anticipated, but never experienced just now. Only its past and future make it seem real. Time controls it entirely, for sin is never present. In any single instant, the attraction of guilt would be experienced as pain and nothing else, and would be avoided. It has no attraction now. Its whole attraction is imaginary, and therefore must be thought of from the past or in the future. So at no single instant does the body exist at all. It is always remembered or anticipated. So it's like the only way that you can perceive the body, you could say the only moment that you perceive the body is never now. It's never in the present. It's never in the present. So it's always, past associated or future imagined. but never now. Like somewhere else in chapter 18, it says like, you have never completely felt the absence of the body. Like not for one instant, you're always aware of your body. So that means that you're continuously associating in your time ideas with the body. So the body is always related to time, and being in time, you could say, is like, and this is where sin starts, or guilt, you whatever you want to call it. It's like sin. Sin is literally like stepping into the sphere of imagination, you could say, where you actually see yourself as this body doing things. So in archery terms, it is like off the mark. It's like you just miss it because you choose to do that. It's like a deviation of mind. Like if you would allow yourself to be right on the mark, you would be in an experience of light and of now, and nothing else. So any time that this deviates, you could say, into the denial, you're actually stepping into sin, into, yeah, you could say karma, you can say two power thinking, whatever terms you like. Dualistic thinking is another term. It's like that happens immediately when you're not consciously present in this moment. So in other words, when you hold on to ideas of body and of time and space, well, that's, you can feel the difference between that. So that's our practice. So here's where the heredity comes in immediately too. So whatever this is actually great. It's like whatever is a deviation from this moment, you use against this moment. You will say like, well, I can't let go of that. It's like, why not? It's happening right now. It's right here. You don't have to do anything for it to remember it, except for letting go of what you think is going on or what you think you are. But that's, yeah, I understand. It is deeply rooted in your idea of even thinking that you're a body. Now here, you come actually to the say the pivot point, or the real miraculous sphere of the miracle. Like the miracle is a sudden shift into invisibility, literally absence of the body. So for one instant, you allow this change to occur by opening your consciousness, you could say, and letting this spontaneously happen to you. So it's not done by you, but you were open to receive it, and it was given to you. Just like it is right now. It's like, this is given to you. You've heard it. It's like, no, there's no need to deviate from right here, right now. You don't have to give a description of yourself. No, let this be open. Let this moment be complete and whole and perfect, because this is what you are. Now, and that is like, okay, in this light, miracles occur naturally. You literally see this in light. You cannot see it anywhere else. So that also means if I take one idea, again, like into sin, into time limitation ideas, definitions, then I lose that ability to be present here and now in and receiving the miracle that is actually available for me. So that's the healing moment that we say offer to one another on a continuing basis. So it's always right here. But this right here and right now is not what you think it is, because it has in fact nothing to do with you. No offense, no personal offense. Because what is the personality? It's nothing. So there cannot be anything offended. Anything that is offended now isn't real in the first place. So this, if you come to the place where you can actually accept that idea and implement it into your practice, into your beingness in this moment, you're doing great. You're doing great. We really are, say, moving forward, you could say. So this is great to read that. So at no single moment the body exists at all. It's always anticipated or projected into the future, or say seen from a past perspective. That's all. So now let this rebirth occur. It is possible now. Literally. All right. So I feel definitely a miracle prayer coming up. So sit back and relax. Love, which created me, is what I am. I seek my own identity and find it in these words. Love, which created me, is what I am. Love, which created me, is what I am. Now need I seek no more. Love has prevailed. So still, it waited for my coming home, that I will turn away no longer from the holy face of Christ. And what I look upon attest the truth of the identity I sought to lose, but which my Father has kept safe from me. Father, my thanks to you for what I am, for keeping my identity untouched and sinless in the midst of all the thoughts of sin my foolish mind made up. And thanks to you for saving me from them. Amen. Love, which created me, is what I am. I seek my own identity and find it in these words. Love, which created me, is what I am. Now need I seek no more. Love has prevailed. So still it waited for my coming home, that I will turn away no longer from the holy face of Christ. And what I look upon attests the truth of the identity I sought to lose, but which my Father has kept safe for me. Father, my thanks to you for what I am, for keeping my identity untouched and sinless in the midst of all the thoughts of sin my foolish mind made up. And thanks to you for saving me from them. Amen.